how would I define gentrification? I would say it's a process where a community, a neighborhood that is of a lower socioeconomic status starts to change, and so you have the influx of resources and different people of higher socioeconomic status moving into the community.
So there's only one real reputable grocery store in Churchill, and that is Farm Fresh on Main Street. And if you don't have a vehicle, that can be out of the way for some people. And so there is still a grocery store on Mechanicsville, but I don't know too much about it, but I wouldn't buy my groceries there.
And the fact that this type of neighborhood would be known as a food desert, there's just not a lot of good local fresh produce, fruits and vegetables and such that are a part of the diet of many of our families. And part of that is personal choice, part of that is systemic structure.
What I really see more than anything else are folks who are coming back. They either don't have cars, so they can't drive to a larger grocery store, or they're older, and what they're doing is they're shopping at the corner stores.
I think what has happened in Churchill, as far as gentrification is concerned, is that there is a need for good food, and the grocery stores have left the area, and which is unfortunate. And so now people are forced to source food other places and not necessarily good food.
The restaurants have all changed. The houses all around us have been renovated, and so it's been better, and to some degree, a little bit, it's been worse because we've lost a lot of the kind of the diversity that we had in the neighborhood.
I said, just imagine carrying groceries in your hand. You know, the walk is not too bad until you start saying, oh, well, maybe if I'm carrying 2 heads of lettuce, a couple of cans of beans, you know, that sort of thing, it starts getting heavy. And you've got children with you. So I'm always trying to get them to really get the realistic view of how hard it is to live in an urban environment where there should be food that is accessible, and it's not.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so the whole hipster transition. Yeah, it's really changed the neighborhood as well. I think they've added a lot of, well, I mean, you know, you say hipster, but people in their 20s, that 20s, 30s, younger, that have moved up here and really are bringing a lot of interesting craft restaurants, stores, interesting stuff.
So there's a different demographic that has been kind of coming in here, which I'm partially representative of because it tends to be more white, affluent, middle class to upper middle class. That even though my presence may cause some negative impact to the community, hopefully my presence has a lot greater positive impact.
You know, if you're able to move in and volunteer to be somebody who goes into these newly gentrifying neighborhoods, or you're able to volunteer, that you have a certain degree of power and privilege that people in those communities who are original residents, that they don't have.
There's certainly a lot more diversity, both racially and socioeconomically, and you know, we interacted with a lot of people that were different than us, and we kind of miss that.
Like, oh, that makes sense. Like, let's not isolate lower income people groups because the isolation of poverty tends to have very negative consequences. And so, but something on paper of like mixed income housing, how it actually plays out in reality could be a whole completely different story.
A lot of things that I miss growing up is that neighbors were actually neighbors. You know, you knew your neighbor, they helped you could knock on the door for some sugar. And I really want that sense of community to return. All around growing your own food, you know. If people start to understand that you can grow simple things outside your door or in pots in your home, I think we'll start to see a sense. People always gather around food, so why should this be any different? We really want to impact the community in a way that people start cooking again. and we're noticing a decline in people cooking, and thinking that it's way too hard to cook. It's better if I can just go to McDonald's. And we want to change that mindset and have people more involved and want to know where their food comes from.
Which people who are kind of these food advocates sometimes go in and say, you know what you need? You really need a farmer's market. And sometimes that's the last thing that's on the minds of the people who are there.
What we think is most effective is going out into the community. It's hard to be in a bubble and say, oh, there's food deserts and people need to eat more organic food and we've got to get and you don't ever go out and hear or listen to what the community actually needs. And that is the most important thing, is you have to take your vision and put it to the side for a minute and see what exactly the community is actually calling for.